It turns out that over the weekend, a lot of fun went down inside of Los Angeles. We can continue to replay this video if you're just joining us on the live. Check this out. There's some scenes from LA. This is just one street in the middle of the day, I might add.
Oh, shit,
People united will never be divided. I love that one. What's interesting about this is my favorite part about riots. Let's talk a little about the riots. People were in somewhat of, they called this organic pushback to federal ICE agents who were conducting arrests in California. Now, during these arrests, you had local citizens of, which we also just call violent Hispanics. So there's a lot of them. We have to have a real conversation here in Los Angeles. I'm from there. It's a real thing, began to push back against the ICE agents. Now, one of the things that I want to bring up is that everyone said, you know, this riot is an organic formation of angry Los Angeles residents who don't want their family members ripped from their arms and leaving the country through ICE deportations. But I'd like to bring up, as a journalist and someone who noticed something, that original organic reaction to the ICE agents, they had, let me see if I can bring up a picture. They had these people there in the group. Now, the Legal Observers, go to my screen here. This is a group called a Legal Observer. It's the National Lawyers Guild, also called a Legal Observer. You can see the hat there. Now, we've talked about these on the show back in 2020, 2021. This is like the ACLU for the left. These are lawyers that go on the ground, or paralegals. They take notes for the protesters and the rioters, and when they get arrested, they basically report poor and bad conduct from the police or use these lawyers to get people out of jail without paying bail. So this is an organized left-wing NGO that is deeply entrenched in planned and organized resistance to fascism, and at the organic pushback of ICE agents that was angry citizens, there were several of these green hats with their hat on in the organic crowd, which is just my alarm bells to remind you guys, this was all planned. This was all orchestrated. We start our conversation there. I don't know if you're surprised by that, but that to me is enough evidence to prove, yeah, this was a plan.
Yeah, I definitely believe this is planned. It reminds me back in 2020 with the BLM riots that we were having then, saying that was organic, and it was far from organic. One thing that we have in common with the riots in 2020 versus what we're seeing now is you even see not only the green hats, but you're seeing bricks, piles of bricks all around the city where they're trying to entice people to cause destruction. And I believe it's actually a big push. You know, the American people, one thing is I wish we did gather together, not like this. Obviously, this is more illegals and things of that nature. But as far as putting our voice out there, speaking up against what we find as repression or what we find as a government tyranny towards us, but we really don't. And all of a sudden, you see these groups and massive groups of people just pop up out of nowhere. So I do believe a lot of this is orchestrated. I do believe that there are people behind the scenes who are pulling the strings, maybe the NGOs. Some people say George Soros. There's a bunch of different people that they believe are doing it, but there's nothing organic about this.
All right, let's go into this. Gateway Pundit reports that bring in the troops. President Trump goes off as violent riots escalate in LA. Well, President Trump, late Sunday night and into Monday morning, called for troops to be brought in to help stop the violent riots in downtown Los Angeles. Masked rioters are setting cars on fire and launching commercial-grade explosives at law enforcement officers. LAPD declared an unlawful assembly on Sunday evening. They're literally just burning and destroying cars in LA right now. What's even the point? And that, of course, is an original post from Eric Daughtry, who posted this. Hell yeah. Burn another car down and dad's for sure going to come home. Nothing's going to tell the federal government that having Mexicans in this country is a good thing than a bunch of Mexicans burning down autonomous vehicles. Mr. Mendoza, as a representative of this community, of the Waymo burning community, I need your thoughts on this. I got to know what I don't know where your mind is, because who are these people? We're going to talk to Anthony Cabasa later, who's been on the ground. A lot of this footage that we're going to look at has actually been his. But it's like, let's be honest. America's not ready for the conversation that there's actually a lot of really crazy Hispanic people, Mexican nationals mostly, El Salvadorians, who identify with their country so much so that they're so proud of it that they don't want to live there. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Well, also not just that, but this kind of reminds me of once I was younger. There were some kids I hung out with in the neighborhood, and literally in their free time, like to have fun, they would just go to the local church, which was like a Catholic church, mostly Mexicans, and they would just bash windows. And then they went to a local abandoned hospital that had like abandoned cars in there too, and then just bash windows. So something about the Mexican phenotype, I guess, has a penchant for burning windows and for breaking cars. But you're right. I mean, it's crazy that people come here and they're so dedicated to their former country that they have to. And, you know, I mean, I noticed this my whole life, especially being from a predominantly Hispanic and mostly Mexican area, is that September 16th rolls around or Cinco de Mayo rolls around, and everyone has all this pride. But if you ever ask them what have the people actually accomplished, well, really nothing. And you know, they extend no grace to the colonialist, as they would put to the people who so graciously put them up in their own country. But you know, everyone said on Twitter this weekend, and I don't think I have to say it again, but it's like, if you love your country so much, you should probably go back to it. Simple as that.
They should go back to it. And it's so crazy to see the comparison. You know, when you had the South Africans, the white South Africans come here to America, they were waving the American flag. They were actually excited to be a part of the country. And then you have these, and they got hated by news and media, was talking about how dangerous these people were, how it was going to affect the black community. And then when you have these type of rioters, these type of illegal immigrants who come here, they hate America, they're burning the flag, they're waving their own, you know, destroying property. The first thing that, you know, Democrats and a lot of politicians want to do is they want to defend them. So the comparison is not even close, but these are the ones they choose as, I guess, the ones we want in the country, which is far from the truth.
Well, yeah. Okay. So the problem with this is that there is a diabolical conversation going on where the Mexican president came out, Claudia Sheinbaum. She said that if necessary, we'll mobilize. We don't want taxes on remittances from our fellow countrymen from the U.S. to Mexico. A foreign leader brazenly inciting U.S. protests. This is unheard of. She also said that she didn't support any pushback from LAPD and from the military to restore order with Mexican citizens. Basically, that they should have immunity to protest because they're special in our country. And as you know, the leader of Mexico and the leader of Ukraine are what?
Mm-hmm.
Democrats. They're Democrats.
Yep.
Those pesky Democrats. You know, the Scheinbaums and the Zelenskys and the Steinbergs and stuff, those Democrats, they're everywhere. She actually is inciting this. So when you talk about the government, you know, being justified to put down this uprising as a potential threat to national security, it's absolutely true. And we see the same parallels time and time again, like with 2020, where, look, people, I saw like Harry Sisson and people being like, oh, so we should arrest all these people? You mean like this? And they show a picture of January 6th, and you go, literally, they stopped even trying to prevent illegals from coming into the country to focus their agents on arresting people for nonviolent crimes at the Capitol. Nobody ever argued that people shouldn't be prosecuted for violent crimes at the Capitol until we realized that there was entrapment, and it came out that the event was orchestrated by the United States government to entrap people. And then that's the only reason why we sought for them to be pardoned. We never justified our people attacking police officers, vandalizing property. We never said that was a good thing. And we go, wait a second. They could have stopped this, and they intentionally didn't to provoke that violence. The same thing goes with 2020. The government gave stand-down orders. When I was in Philadelphia, we were listening to the readers. They gave a stand-down order to the officers and allowed the African Americans to loot the entire city because the police were told not to do their jobs. This happened in Chicago. This happened in Dallas. This happened in New York City. It happened in Los Angeles. It happened in San Francisco. It happened in Portland and Seattle. That the police departments were told to stand down. And you see that. Right? You see that the police department stand down for 6-7 hours here in Los Angeles. Eventually, they move to clear the streets. But then what? After how many millions of dollars of damage is done? After how many dozens of cars are set on fire? I believe one girl might have already been killed. I haven't confirmed yet, but I know she got hit by a car. She was unresponsive when paramedics arrived. But it's like, you know, when this is being supported by these foreign leaders, this could be considered a potential uprising. And just like January 6th, yeah, we should arrest these people if they could figure out, you know, anyone who was in a 2-mile radius that sent a text message that day. Why can't we prosecute these people? And most importantly, my question is, if we can and they won't and they don't want us to, then that means that these people, of which many are not their best, are acting on behalf of the mayor of Los Angeles and Governor Newsom. They are his foot soldiers, right? These are his people that he wants doing this because he wants the federal government to know what? You cannot enforce federal law here. We are a lawless state. We are our own autonomous government.